So I told y'all after I, broke down and went through all of the Night of the Living Dead remakes, recalibrations, revamps, and reimaginary things that they came up with. I told you I was gonna do Day of the Dead next, and Day of the Dead, it's another George A. Romero property that is down bad right now. Now, obviously, the original still, there's a lot of people out there. Let me just say this: there's a lot of people out there that say Day of the Dead is the best of the series, and while I disagree, I understand why y'all say it. Day of the Dead. It's not that I dislike the movie, but it was just such a shift in tone after I saw and loved, absolutely adored Dawn of the Dead. Day of the Dead. There is not a lot of fun to. I mean, it's a fun movie, but I'm talking about as far as like the way that story is told. A lot of the fun that was in Dawn of the Dead, them running around and hot wiring trucks and blocking the entrances and shooting up zombies and shopping all around the mall, that shit is deaded. Like, pun intended, man. That shit is deaded in this one. This is the military versus scientists versus civilians. And the military are dicks in that original one, man. Rhodes, Steele, Rickles, Torres, they're all assholes, yo. And I just feel like it wasn't as fun of a movie. It's still fun to watch, but Day of the Dead is a movie I didn't appreciate like as a kid until I started getting older, and I'm like, wow, this shit is way ahead of its time. Like a lot of George A. Romero movies, man. But I like Day of the Dead, the best zombie effects, the best gore, arguably that I have ever seen in a movie. Just the way it's done, man, and the kills are vicious. When those zombies get into the bunker and fuck up the soldiers, that shit it's almost satisfying to watch, especially Rhodes' death scene, man. Recipe shout out to Joe Pilato. He's got one of the most iconic death scenes of all time, where the zombies tear him apart and drag his lower torso down the hallway, and he's screaming "Ciao God!" Like, that shit is amazing, yo. And it's a shame that they didn't get the funding that they needed properly for a sequel to that, because all three survivors were coming back for a sequel. They were going to call it Night of the Living Dead 2, but it was them on that island that they escaped to at the end of the original movie. And the zombies washed ashore and they were taking over the island and shit. So I wish I could have seen that come into play, man. But as far as the property itself, like, y'all see what we dealt with, man. Y'all see what we dealt with in 2008, I think it was. That's when we got this one, this Day of the Dead, and Ving Rhames came back, which was kind of confusing because he was just in Dawn of the Dead like 4 years prior or so, but he's playing Captain Rhodes in Day of the Dead, Mina Suvari. And I remember being excited when I heard this was in the works, man. I was like, Mina Suvari, I was like, I love her in American Pie. She was in The Rage Carry 2. Like, I had seen her around, man. I really like that actress, but she was in there. Ving Rhames was in there. But Nick Cannon was the casting that threw me off. Nick Cannon as Salazar. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to work, because at times I can't see Nick Cannon as anything but a Nickelodeon actor. But this movie is so fucking terrible, yo. And Steve Miner directed this one, yo. Steve Miner, Friday the 13th 2, Friday the 13th 3, Lake Placid, Halloween H2O, man. Whatever flaws those movies may have, Steve Miner is still a staple in the horror genre, man, directing wise, right? So I'm like, he might do this justice. No. This was like, and I'm not afraid or ashamed to say this, man. I love George A. Romero, but this reminded me of Land of the Dead, where I feel like he might have had too much money to make this shit. So you see a lot of money going to fucking terrible CG blood. Like, there's CG gore. The zombies are crawling on the goddamn ceiling at some point. And when the hospital outbreak happens, the fucking zombie crawls on the ceiling, and they speed up the camera to make it seem like the zombie's moving faster than what he actually is, man. This movie's bad. This movie's really fucking bad, yo. Mina Suvari as the lead girl, she's not all that great, man. She tries to be the tough as nails female lead. I'm cool with that. But like, her delivery at some point, there's a scene at the end of the movie where she's telling the guy who's behind Project Wildfire and behind the infection or whatever it is. He was actually the new Dr. Logan, Dr. Frankenstein, but he's a suit and tie motherfucker. He was a corny ass character, man. Even Nick Cannon knew that motherfucker was corny and shouldn't have been in the movie, because there's a scene where Bud gets bit. Instead of Bub, it's Bud. He gets bit, and you get to see him transition into the smart zombie that's using guns and has a crush on Sarah and shit. But I think her name's Sarah in the movie. But Even even Nick Cannon knows that nigga's corny, man, because there's a scene where Bud gets bit by, I think, Ving Rhames' character. He, spoiler alert, he turns into a zombie, and then he's like, she's like, I poured bleach on it. He's gonna be all right. And then the doctor, Logan's like, yeah, bleach kills just about everything. And Nick Cannon's like, who the fuck are you? And I feel like Nick Cannon wasn't acting in that moment. I feel like he really wondered who brought this dude on set, because he's like, look, man, we in a bad movie, but you're terrible. Nick Cannon, if you turn your brain off and have fun with this shitty movie, Nick Cannon's kind of a badass, yo. He's got like a makeshift spear that he makes. He gets to shoot shotguns and handguns and Uzis and shit all over the place. It's just, it's hard to take him seriously, but they do write him to be a badass, man. And there's an alternate ending where he actually survives, and I would have preferred that ending because, they made him be the sacrificial Negro. But this movie's terrible, man. I'm telling y'all. There's some cool gore in here. The zombie effects are pretty cool at times, but this shit's awful, man. And the shit they do with Bud, him being a smart zombie is just like, it's dumb. It's stupid. But this movie's a fucking Oscar-worthy, Pulitzer Prize piece of cinema compared to Day of the Dead 2, Contagion. This movie, Day of the Dead 2, Contagion, I'm telling y'all, man, this movie is Creepshow 3 bad to where it hurts me to sit through that movie. I've only watched it once. Never again. If anybody was like, yeah, could you do a commentary for it? Yes. If you fund and send me the alcohol that I'm in need for an intoxic commentary yourself, yeah, I'll do it. But other than that, I will never watch that movie again on my own precious time. That movie was time off my life I could not get back. They even had the audacity to make it a prequel. I think it's set in 1968 in a hospital, in a military hospital in Pittsburgh, and it's like, yeah, nice fucking way to try to tie it into Night of the Living Dead, assholes. Like, I'm not buying y'all bullshit. The movie's awful. The film quality's terrible. The writing's terrible. The directing is trash. The actors are fucking like god awful, man. This shit's bad. It's really bad. But what's the next one? Bloodlines, Day of the Dead Bloodlines. This makes the Day of the Dead with Nick Cannon look fire. You know what I'm saying? And the sad thing is, Day of the Dead Bloodlines sticks more to the original Day of the Dead setting and storyline than any of these other ones. They're underground in a bunker or wherever the fuck they're at. The military is beefing with the scientists, but it's really focused on the military and this main girl. And my man from that shitty Prom Night remake, the dude that played the killer, he plays the new Bud character who's in love with the girl. He won't bite her because he's in love with her, and he was in love with her prior to him turning into a zombie. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. The zombie effects are, and the gore is really good. Like, that shit is really solid, but the movie is just like, I'm like, how did you manage to be a worse remake than the last bad remake we got? Like, this, no big stars in it, and that's cool, but it's just trash. Nothing to write home about, man. The Day of the Dead TV series, I'm gonna just say this. I didn't hate it. I just felt like it wasn't a Day of the Dead TV series. I think I did commentary for like the first episode or so, but I ended up watching the rest of the series without doing the commentary. And in my mind, I'm like, if y'all just took all of take out the name Rhodes, take out Bub, take out any references from that, somebody even repeats choke on like when they're getting ripped up by the zombies towards the end of the season. If you would have took all of the references out, I would have given this a pass. Like, oh, Sci-Fi came out with a zombie TV show, because it's heavy on the humor. This is not to be taken seriously, man. The TV series is so heavy on the humor. I was like, if you would have just not called this Day of the Dead, I would have been okay with that. I would have been like, yo, this Zomcom series is actually kind of decent. But because y'all had to cash in, like, look at if y'all can see it, look at the one zombie hand coming out the ground with the middle finger. They basically just like, yeah, fuck y'all. We don't care how y'all feel about it. Day of the Dead, yeah, we down bad right now, to say the least. I'm glad that there's only been one Dawn of the Dead remake that's amazing. And I don't think we need any more. 10 years from now, we don't need a Land of the Dead remake or I wonder what's worse out of these movies than Survival of the Dead. No, I think Day of the Dead 2 Contagion is the absolute worst of any zombie property that George A. Romero's name is attached to. I'm telling y'all, I don't wish that on my enemies. I really don't.